Hey everybody, welcome on into ClayShare Live. Tonight we're going to be making a hand-built textured mug. I have a guest in the studio. As you can hear, little Levi, my little 10-week-old puppy who I've had for 3 days now, is joining me because I don't have a puppy sitter. None of you volunteered to come watch my puppy. So he's got to be in here. He's safe. I've got a gated area behind me. He's got all of his things he needs, toys, beds, his brother Jack, but he doesn't care. Levi, what's going on, bud? Mama's got to work. Okay, so we are going to make a textured mug, and I have done quite a few hand-built mug classes on ClayShare. You know, I got the standard mug right here. This is one of my favorites. This is just, you know, your simple, like, farmhouse mug, diner mug, your just straight-sided cylinder mug. We've done our sweater mug, which is a really nice textured, rounded out mug. I broke the handle off of this when it was a bisque piece. So what I did is I just sanded down where the handle was attached and glazed it, made it a cup, and now it's my tool holder, so it works out great for that. But tonight we're going to make a hand-built mug that has texture, but also a little bit of a nipped-in waist. You know, I got my sassy darted mug, which is a really fun one too, but this is more like a corset mug, I was thinking of calling it, so you guys might like it. We'll see. So we're going to work on this. We're going to talk about handles and how to determine what size handle to make for your piece, and any questions you all have about mug making, we'll take care of it. We're also going to be giving away, not a puppy, sorry, but some rolling pins. We're going to be giving away, what did we give away last time? The Monstera? Monstera. We're going to give away the Wave pin. We're going to be giving away a 7-inch Wave rolling pin tonight. Now, I have these as a 12-inch and a 7-inch. I also have the Monstera. Now, I have to tell you, I didn't expect the overwhelming response of orders for the rolling pins when we went live. We only went live to our premium members. We sold out of our stock within minutes, and we have how many weeks of back orders to fill right now? 4 weeks. So if I make pins all day, every day for the next 4 weeks, I will catch up. So I have not opened it up to non-ClayShare members yet because I want to catch up for them. Good news is we have a second machine that will be arriving next week, so our production will double. So we will catch up on that 4 weeks in actually 2 weeks. So it's going to happen. So tonight we're going to give away the Wave pin, and I think that's the one we're going to use for the demo. Again, it's in the 7-inch and in the 12-inch, so we're going to do that. You'd be a dog babysitter. I know I need a whole bunch of dog babysitters to come hang out with me. I know, 4 weeks of back orders. You guys kind of blew up our website. It was crazy. I didn't know that many people were going to order. I mean, we have thousands of premium ClayShare members, so we opened it up to them. I did not expect most of you to order. Thought you would not, but thank you. I'm completely appreciative, but I just want everybody to have patience. It'll be a little longer before we can roll the pins out to everybody else, but it will happen. We got a second laser machine coming next week, and we have a third one on the way. It'll be here before the end of the year, so we will definitely get everything caught up so we can meet the demand. It was kind of crazy in a good way. So, all right, so let's make a mug. So you got both the new pins, one a 12-inch and one a 7, and you can't wait. Diana, I'm excited. Yeah, I haven't seen your order come in. Did Diana's ship yet? Do you know? It's hard with the amount we're packing and shipping, but, you know. Pumpkin. Yes. Hold on. I have to squeak a toy for my puppy. It's a tough job. Come here. Get this. There you go. Get it. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, so to make a textured mug, you know, one of the cool things that I like about these 7-inch rolling pins is not only the fact they're easier to roll, you still get a great texture, but you kind of can skip the, where is it? The mug template. I'm going to show you why. And it was something that I'd been thinking about when I was designing pins, building in templates for you guys, and so you're going to see right here. Just before you logged on, the UPS truck arrived and you were so excited. You thought it was your Monstera 7-inch pin, but it was disappointed. You were disappointed because it's deodorant from Amazon. Yeah, Amazon deodorant just doesn't hold a candle to a new Monstera pin. All right, so this is a slab I rolled out of Laguna B-Mix 5. I rolled it onto my slab roller. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick. I go a bit thick because we're going to add texture, which will compress the clay and thin it down, right? So I want to make sure I have enough material to actually get my texture in. You know, if you start with a 1/8 of an inch thick slab, you're not going to have any material to put your texture in, right? So we started with a little bit thicker piece. Oh my goodness, can you guys hear him? He's so sad, so sad. All right, so when we roll these, you can roll vertical, but then I'll only get a 7-inch wide swatch. And you know, I could use my 12-inch, and then I get a 12-inch wide strip, right? Or you can go sideways, and then you get 12-inch by infinity, or 7 inches by infinity. So I'm going to go sideways, because normally I make my mugs about 4 inches in height. So we're gonna go with that and do that. So your pin will be there Friday, Robert. Woohoo! It's super exciting. I love it. Oh, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. Alrighty. So let's roll this out. You see how I used my rib to smooth out both sides, and often what I'll do is after I smooth the second side, I release the clay from the board, but I'm not going to do that because I want the clay to stick for just a bit while I roll this in. If it doesn't stick, what will happen is the clay will start to peel up and wrap around my rolling pin. If you've ever had that happen, you need to just do that compress to the board and don't remove it. It makes it easier. So, all right, let's just go ahead and roll. Oh my gosh, my puppy. It's tough to work when you have a cute puppy crying. Struggle is real. All right, so there we have our texture. And then I just turn it sideways. Now we release it from the board. Give him a rolling pin to roll around. What he wants is Mama to hold him. No, I can't right now. I might have to have Kevin take him down and put him in his puppy playpen in the house. So let's look at this. This is what I wanted to show you. So if you look at the start and stop point here, you'll see it's almost the size we need. So if you just went a little shy, right, just made it a little smaller, you can always stretch the clay, and that'll help give you what we need. So I'm going to actually cut from here to here. Kev, would you grab Levi and take him down and put him in his puppy playpen? He can't stay. It's too much. Oh, baby, come here. Oh, baby. All right.
You're in overhead, with front as inside.
There he is. All right, everybody, say goodbye to Levi. He's going to go to his puppy playpen because he can't take it. He can't take being away from Mama. Bye, Levi, honey.
Come on,
Bye, honey. It's so sad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut. Now, remember, we still want our bevels, and you decide your height. If I want a 4-inch high, I'll just sit this here. You know, okay, here's the thing. I can do a 4-inch high, right, and get one off of the 7-inch roller, or I can do a 3.5-inch high, and I can get 2 perfect mugs off of 1 strip, and then still have clay to do the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. So for that, all you have to do is, you know, I'm just going to approximate visually where the halfway mark is, but that's good enough. But if you want to use a ruler, be my guest. I think my ruler has run off, so I'm not even going to worry about it. Your doggy's worried about Levi crying. Yeah, so Levi's gone in the house. It's fine. You know, I know. He wants to be with his mama, but he cannot right now, so he's going to wait a little bit. He's going to go in the house where he can cuddle up. He has a puppy playpen, has everything he needs, so he'll be nice and safe there. All right, so I just cut off my strips here. So we're going to use this piece here for the bottom. So I'll get 2 mugs out of this bit of clay. This came off a slab that was about 12 pounds of clay that I rolled out about 40 minutes before we went live. And I then cut off a strip of that was maybe 1/4 of it. So 3 pounds of clay? I know that's not 1/4. Well, no, 3 of 12 would be. So I'm just cutting off the excess that I don't need. And so you just line this up. And since the rolling pin pressed that 7-inch top to bottom, I don't have to worry about measuring. I know that's 7 inches. So those of you who did get the 7-inch wave pin, you'll be able to do this exactly like I'm showing you. You notice how Jack stayed, my other dog, my 13-year-old. He's just curled up in his bed and sleeping. Jack's like, look, this is what happens. The lady makes pots, we hang out. Levi was not having it. All right, so I would say 3.5 inches-ish, right? And we're just going to cut. And that'll give me 2 slabs for 2 mugs. Now, when we do a 12-inch diameter, when we do a 12-inch strip, the diameter we get is usually a 4-inch, right? So I just use a 4-inch cookie cutter to cut out my circle for the bottom, and that's what we can do here. If you want to make it a 1/2 inch smaller and do a 3.5 inch, you can do that, and then you nip it in. So it's up to you. So you've been laying out some patterns. Oh, for cutting out on acrylic. That's exciting. So we look right there. That's going to work. But I want to turn it over because I want to roll fresh. I want to have a certain thing happening. I want this strip here in the middle. So I'm just going to put that here. And let's make sure this doesn't peel up on me as I'm rolling it in. And we'll just roll it out. Like that. That's what I wanted. And so release, and then we'll make our bottom. So that's for one of them. But I got to do a second one, right? So I'm going to wedge up quickly. So this is how I work when I make a mug. You will go ahead and make your parts, and I'll have all my parts laid out on my table, and then from those I'll assemble. I don't cut out just one mug body and make the body, then cut out the bottom, and then cut out you know, the next one after that one's made. Because if you do it that way, you're going to take longer in making. It just works better to do it the same step all the way along. So you roll out your clay, you cut out all your mug bodies or cup bodies or bowl or vase or whatever you're doing. And then you attach them, right? And then you do your to each other, which we're going to do in a second to make the body cylinders. And then we're going to go ahead and do the bottoms. All right, that one's a little thick. Let's thin it a little more. So those of you who missed last week, well, who missed me last week, which was everybody except the few that were with me in Syracuse at my workshop, well, I was at my workshop in Syracuse. I thought I could do a live broadcast, but it wasn't possible. Too much going on. But I'm back. And I've had some folks asking about when I'll have my next workshop. I only do one workshop, maybe 2 a year. I honestly can't get away to do them with all the stuff that I have going on here in the studio. But I will have one in the springtime in Virginia, and I'll put information about that up as we get closer. All right, so we've got our bottoms, we got our bodies, and then this clay here, which is what was left, is going to become the handles. So we're going to have no waste at all. We're going to have our 2 bodies, 2 bottoms, and 2 handles from the clay that I rolled out, which is brilliant because I got everything I needed from 3 pounds of clay to make 2 mugs. You kept me very busy, Lisa. Yes, Lisa was at the workshop, and they did keep me busy, but we had such a good time. First workshop I taught since 2019, so it was really fun. Had a good time. All right, I'm going to go ahead, and I know it's going to seem counterintuitive and not make sense to some of you out there, but I'm going to actually make my handle now because the handles need to sit up. Now I'm going to show you how to pull a handle, but you could use the handle extruders from Diamond Core Tools. These guys right here, where we just pull it through a block of clay. And I did that a few weeks ago in August when Diamond Core Tools was a sponsor, and we gave away a bunch of Diamond Core Tool products. But we're going to pull handles, and we're going to talk a bit about handle shape and size, but we won't get into that too much until we attach. Right now we're going to do the basic just making. So I wedged up my clay, rolled my coils out into kind of a fat carrot shape. And I'm trying to think how to give you all the best view here so that you can see the pulling. So I have a tutorial on ClayShare. I believe it's a free one, how to pull a handle in 3 steps. This is how I have been making handles for the last couple decades. It is really foolproof. I teach people who've never made handles before how to make handles, and I tell you, if you follow these 3 steps, you'll get it, and you won't hate handles as much. All right, so we start with our thumb pull, right? So it's 3 steps. We have a thumb pull, where we're using our thumb to guide. You want to go on the main, or do you want me to pull it over here? Go to 2. We'll go to 2. We'll go to 2. So we got the thumb pull, right? And then we have our scissor pull, where we make scissors with our fingers, and we pull down, scissor pull. And then we do our U or C pull, where we grab the sides and pull down. And what this is doing is the thumb pull is putting a groove in, the scissor pull is thinning and lengthening, and the C or U pull is bringing the sides in, reining the sides back in, and also lengthening the handle. And so you repeat these 3 steps until you get a handle that is approximately the length you want. Usually I go for somewhere between 4 and 7 inches. It totally depends on the size of the mug and what shape handle you want to make. So it's always better to make a handle a little bigger than you think you're going to need, because you can always cut off the excess. And make it about the thickness of your mug wall. So whether it's a wheel-thrown mug or a hand-built mug, you know, that's a really good rule of thumb. A rule of handle. I couldn't think of a good pun in time for that. All right, so there's one pulled. You saw how that was done. Let's pull a second. We'll do that pretty quickly. And so I'm just using a bucket to do the pulling. And handles are something a lot of people hate to do. I don't mind them. I've been doing them for a long time. They're a necessity. If you're going to make something with a handle, you've got to put a handle on it. So I figured if I'm going to have to make these handles and it's going to be part of my career, I better find a way to do it that I enjoy and makes it easy. Plus, since I teach, so I can teach folks how to do it. So teach you all how to make handles. All right, so we got this one, the second one done here as well. And we'll put that off to the side. So these will start to stiffen up while we are making the rest of our mug. And you'll notice how I did press it onto the board to hold its shape. And then I'm just going to let it sit there, and just the air flowing around it will help it to dry. So let's put it over here, off to the side. And then we can make the mug bodies. Making for decades. I have been making for making pottery for 21 years. It's hard to believe. Huh? Barely plural in decades, but I can still say it. And to be fair, it wasn't my first career. I was in the Air Force first, so I served in the military. And I was an adult when I started making pottery, although, so I could be, a lot of people talk about the first time they made pots. Now, I started making pottery when I was a child with my grandmother, but I don't count that. I don't count until I was an adult and I started making it as something more serious, like not in school or, you know, not as an elective class. I mean, in 3rd grade, I was making pottery, but I don't count that. I only count when I was actually an adult and I was making pottery in a way that I could then sell and, you know, eventually teach others. All right, so we've got, let me grab my slip. Did I put that away? I might need, Kev, I might need you to grab my slip, or else we're going to go old school and I'll have to use my needle tool. It's in one of my, that's all right, we'll use this. All right, I've got a little scorer, this guy right here. It's like a metal brush. Y'all see that tip? See that? It's like a little metal brush. And you can use that to slip and score. Now, I usually have a serrated rib I use, but yeah, I don't know where I put it. Everything's not unpacked from the workshop. I have to admit, puppy sort of sidetracked my life. All right, Instagram folks, I'm going to hook you up and bring you down more so you can see what's happening down here. All right, so I'm just dipping in my work bucket of water, and I'm just going to score with a wet scoring tool both sides. So I'm basically making my own slip as I go from the water and then the clay that's here. So Libby, I see you're building shelves to organize your chaos. Ah. So we are meeting with our builder tomorrow. You know how we were going to build a new studio this year. That didn't happen because of many reasons. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow and talk about possibly next year, because I'm going to need the space. All these rolling pins got to go somewhere. Need a bigger studio. Okay, so we've got our slab. We're going to do this overlap. And this is one of the big things we talked about in my workshop, was that overlap. Now you want to make sure you get at least half the thickness of the slab overlapping. So what you're going to do is take that inside corner of what will become the outside or the right flap, and you're going to line it up in the center of what will become the inside slab or left half. So I hope that is clear. And you just pull that up and then you tack it. And then I use my finger in a rolling motion. Now, you know, the main reason I decided to do mugs tonight is my premium members of ClayShare, you all know who you are, we do exchanges. That's one of the things that we do, and it's a member organized exchange. And so we have coming up this year, and today's the last day actually, so premium members of ClayShare, be listening. The last day you can register for the mug exchange. If you haven't registered yet, let's get you registered so that you can be a part of it. But we do a mug exchange, and this is a great mug to make for that exchange if you don't know how to make a mug. We also do a gnome exchange from, you know, I did a Gnome class, a little hand-built gnome ornament a couple years ago, and it sort of took off just before the gnome craze was starting. My timing was impeccable on that. And now we do a gnome exchange as well, and today's the last day to sign up for that. But that's only for premium members of ClayShare, and it's a member-organized program. I do not organize it myself because I got too much going on, but our awesome members do it, so I don't have to worry. Okay, so we have got our cylinder, one cylinder, right? Let's set that to the side. Let's wrap up the second one, and we'll do the second cylinder. And then that way we'll have two mugs going. I've been kind of busy. We haven't stopped. Mary Jane, you know it. I have not stopped. I have not stopped at all. I keep saying I'm going to stop and take a break, but then life, right? And then I get a puppy. But I'm telling you, it has been wonderful having him in my life. Just the few short days he's been with us, he's brought us such joy. We love him so much. So it's totally worth the no sleep at night, because puppies have little bladders and they like to wake up and play. See, when we had our kitten, gosh, 3-4 years ago, now she's full-grown cat, they just do what they want at night. You don't have to get up with them unless they like get on you. But puppies, yeah, they don't let you sleep. All right. So now we're ready to do our bottoms. So I've got my two cylinders here, right? And I've got my two slabs that are going to become my bottoms. And now because I added texture to that, I want to somehow sign this work. And of course I can stamp the side of this, but I really like using my signature stamp on the bottom of my pieces, which I hope I brought it back from my workshop. I really can't be sure. Maybe I didn't. All right, I might be stamping it later. Okay, so usually I would stamp this right here, do and do, but I might have left that at Clayscapes. I'll have to give them a call. Okay, let's go ahead and do our bottoms. So I'm pretending I have like 8 mugs in process, right? That's how I normally work. I like to work in a 5 to 8 pieces, usually, when I'm making. So let's take our bottom. This has texture on 2 sides because it's the one that I started. And then I realized I wanted to flip it over and roll the texture out on the other side. So I'm slipping and scoring. And then I'm going to do the same thing on my cute little mug. So remember, this is 3.5 inches tall approximately, and just under 12 inches, probably 11 3/4 of an inch long before we rolled it up. So we'll get this all scored up nicely. You know, another thing you can do, if you really like to do a lot of slip, you know, you can go ahead and take a brush and you can get into your slip bucket, and then you can use that brush to paint on your slip. All right, let's stick it on here. Center it. And you'll see I've got a little bit of excess on the side, but that's not even a problem because I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to, from the inside, push it outward until it lines up. You didn't get a notice for the Gnome Exchange, though you signed up for the mug. So Amy, I will be talking about it in prime time tonight, and we'll get the links up for you during that broadcast. You still have today to sign up. So my premium members who didn't sign up yet, we'll get you taken care of for that. All right, so I'm just checking, making sure it's lined up, and then I'm going to use this yellow rib to smooth out and seal the seam on the outside. And this is all you have to do on the outside to seal the seam. But on the inside is another story. You've got to do a little more work than that. I'm sorry, that can't be everything. You can do overhead if you want for that, sure. And so I take that same paintbrush that has been in the slip, and I just use that to smooth the seam out on the inside, just like that. So most of the sealing work happens here on the outside. And then let me go ahead and just smooth over the rim. Don't worry, we'll round this in a minute. We'll get there. I'm going to put that to the side. Let's grab the other one. And then we're going to shape them. That's when we really get to have fun. Because we're going to corset it. I know, it sounds fancy. It's a corset mug. Because girdle mug doesn't sound like a nice thing. No one wants a girdle mug, but a corset mug sounds fancy. Sign me up. Not really. I could not wear a corset. I think I would freak out. Although I heard it helps you lose weight. I don't know. Slipping and scoring. Grabbing that paintbrush again. Life happens while you're making plans. It's the truth, yeah. Good old John Lennon, right? He knew. Well, that's how it is, though, right? When you're on your way to your destination, life's what happens. You're just going down the road, and next thing you know, stuff. All right, that was eloquent, wasn't it? So now we're going to seal the seam. So what's happening here is the clay is actually being scraped up by this rib, and as I press it and I slide it up a little bit, that little bead of clay or roll of clay, you can see is moving up, and as it moves up, it seals that seam and takes care of that for me. So I don't have to deal with messy coils and stuff, which is nice. You wore corsets when you were younger. Ah, well, it sounds like you're free of them now, right? Yes, Lisa says, as long as it's got a smooth bottom, Steve said he'd make one. Yes, it will, yes, it'll have a smooth bottom when it's all said and done. All right, and so I'm just rounding off this top here. All right, let's go in and do something about the shape. I'm going to add a little bit of volume at the, am I a little high? There we go, I'll hook you up there. We'll go over there. I'm just going to use this red rib to add a little bit of volume here. at the bottom, but I'm not going to do too much at the top because we've got something in mind. And that would be, those of you who are at my workshop, remember the infamous terracotta pot that made our workshop fabulous. So this is a two-prong tool. Like, it's good for two things. One, we use it as a rounder, right? And so just by pressing the rim gently against this terracotta pot, it rounds it perfectly. So I don't have to worry about having wonky rims. Nobody wants that. But the other thing you can do is if you walk down your pot, walk down the pot. And we did add a little volume at the bottom, but we did that on purpose to help accentuate this inward nipping that we're doing. Walking down the pot, I'm creating that almost corset shape. See? And I'm just rolling my hands down. Now let's wiggle that out. And let's see that shape. See, it's already there. Now, I'm just going to use my finger to accentuate it a little more. And then a slight flaring at the rim. Because what makes an inward curve work is having the opposite curve. You have to have that flare. If you don't have some sort of flare at the top or the bottom, you have to have something that is the opposite. So we have this kind of hourglass mug situation happening here. And so you can keep working that. Another thing that works nicely, I don't have a big one here, is if you have a dowel, a 1-inch dowel does a nice job too for this nipping in. All right, so I'm just going to use my thumbs now. So do I let my clay dry a bit when it comes out of the bag? Yeah, I rolled the slab immediately after taking it out of the bag. I let my slab sit for about 15 minutes, I think. It was covered in plastic, and then I took the plastic off, and it sat for about 15 minutes, and then I just started working with it. Some clays are wetter than others. My B-mix lately has been a little drier than I usually like it. So for me, it's not a bad clay to work with. Okay, Angela, well, we'll do the links for the Gnome and the Mug Exchange in our private broadcast tonight. So be watching. Come back and watch because you've got to register tonight. So just pop on for a little bit. I'll do it at the very beginning. If your bottom seam ever pops on you, which does sometimes happen, don't fret. Just take your slippy brush and go right back in and just smooth it back out. It's not a big deal. And then I just want to do a slight undercut, a little bevel here. That'll clean up this bottom. And really give it a nice shape. Okay, so there's one mug done. It's got a cute little shape to it, doesn't it? All right, let's let that sit. And actually, I think it really shows here. Let me compare the two. When you see the one that's the plain cylinder over here and the nipped in cylinder. And you can take it as far as you want with the nipping in. I sort of backed off a little bit, but I could have gone a little further. And if you don't want to nip in, well, you can always volume out and make a really round, fatter bodied mug, kind of like this one here, right? See how it has this really great belly on it? So you could do something like that. All right, so now let's get this one done. Oh, I didn't volume out the inside yet. Let me take that out and do that. So those who are asking about the Mug Exchange and the Gnome Exchange, I am not running it. We have two members. Jennifer Alara is one of our premium members. She's running the Mug Exchange, and Jill Nixon is running the Gnome Exchange. And they have shared all week long, actually for a couple weeks, all the ways you can sign up for that. So that has been available for a few weeks now, but I know everybody's busy and we miss things. So if you missed it, you'll get a chance tonight to sign up for that. We'll make that happen. And if you're watching this on the replay and you're a premium member and you missed, I don't know if Jennifer will give us, or if Jill can give us an extra day's grace, since tonight a lot of people have a chance to hear about it and might not watch the replay till tomorrow. Gosh, that's nice like that. That's a nice shape. That's a good shape. It's slightly fatter at the bottom, you know? It's just very simple. It's different than this cylinder though. This cylinder is straight up and down. This cylinder is a fatter at the bottom cylinder. I kind of like it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and round that rim.
Got some questions about, does that hurt the texture?
No, not at all. Would you like to see one I did? Close up. So you can see, can you see the texture? Still there? It doesn't. You know, because the way I'm rolling it, I'm rolling upwards. You notice how I'm doing that? I'm not smearing sideways, and that is a big difference. The rolling upwards motion, or just the rolling down, and I'm using my fingers. You see how I'm using my fingers to really do it? I'm not smearing. I'm not pulling the clay or smearing the clay. I'm just compressing it a bit and rolling it with my finger. And that's the difference. It's little things that make all the difference in any pottery making, truthfully. Whether it be hand building, wheel throwing, whatever it is. So you learn these little techniques, just something so simple as the way you touch the clay can completely change how the texture turns out at the end. Also, my hands are dry. I'm not touching it with wet hands, so I'm not introducing moisture which could smear, right? I'm not doing that at all. So let's go ahead and flare this out a little more. Little nipped in mug. You can also take your finger, and I'm going to do with just my middle finger, and I'm just sweeping sideways down at the bottom, and I'm not sure if you can see, I don't know if I can turn my hand, it's kind of an awkward angle, but you can see how I'm making it a little fatter right there. Oh, I've changed it up. By adding that little sweep to it, I fattened the bottom a lot, but I kind of am in love with it. So this is one of the great things from a simple cylinder of a mug. You know, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's just a cylinder. What do you get from that? Well, you get everything, honestly. I mean, that's really how it goes. Everything comes from, in hand building, pretty much, some form of a cylinder. All right. Where are we at for time? I don't want to run over.
We've got 20 minutes.
20 minutes. All right, so we're going to be giving away, remember, we're going to be giving away a rolling pin tonight. But we're going to finish this up. All right, so I'd make these, and normally I'd be making about 8 or so. So I'd have a little bit of time for these to sit up as the handles are sitting up. And I just want to put this one back in the terracotta pot. This is a 6-inch, I think, terracotta pot. It's not expensive. They have them everywhere, and they are so handy. And you can get bigger ones and smaller ones depending on what you're making, and that way you can scale up or scale down, but you can always get a perfectly round pot. You know, we use the cookie cutter to make the bottom, and we use the terracotta pot on the top. So that really gives us those 2 round start and stop points that make all the difference. All right, let's talk about handles, because why not? We're going to put some handles on stuff. All right, so, you know, when you're making mugs, you have things to consider. You are going to be making a mug for presumably somebody else. Usually you may make a mug for you, but if you're making mugs for other people, you have to consider all the other people in the world and their hand sizes. That's a lot of different hands. So what I do when I make a mug is, and I make a series of mugs, I will vary the handle size. I will make some bigger, I'll make some smaller, I'll make some longer, some shorter, but always keeping in mind the shape of the mug. And so a handle will make a negative space on your piece, and I feel like somehow that should relate to the shape of the form you've made. However you want to do that. I just realized I didn't trim my bottom. Let me do that right now. So let me grab some finished mugs and we'll talk through that while we're doing it. So here's one I did. and I have this kind of straight-sided mug. So I went with what I call an ear handle, because it kind of just looks like an ear, or sort of like a question mark, and that's a pretty standard handle. But you could do something that looks more like a letter D, like a capital D, on a mug like this. It lends itself nicely for that. Or a perfect C, so not so much of an ear or a question mark, but the actual C shape. So, and these are all things that you should really play with. What I would do is I would make the same mug shape and try 3 different handles on that mug shape and see what one you like aesthetically, which feels nicest. But I tell you, you could do that, and the one you like the least, someone could come by and pick up that mug and that could be their favorite handle. So you never know, right? So there's that shape. Now this is the same, this is the nipped-in mug we're making right now, and I made the handle a little different. Do you see how this one is more of an ear, it's a little more rounded? This one's a little, just slightly slimmer and longer to match up with the body of the mug. So these are all the things that we should think about. And we should think about when you're holding a mug, you know, if you put a tiny little loop handle down here, all your weight, you're supporting all that weight in like a tiny little ring. That's not very comfortable, especially when you fill it with liquid. So that's why I like to do a handle that's ergonomic. I like to put it upwards from the bottom. I don't really like bottom handles, but that's my preference. So I think when you're making them, you should practice a few different ones and see what you like the best. So you find that in the glaze firing, your handmade mugs seem to be pulled off the round by the handle. Right. So Mary Jane, what happens is when you put the handle on, sometimes the weight of the handle will actually pull the mug out of round. So what I will do is I will build a little support, or I will use, as my handle's drying, and I'll show you, I will just stick it up against something that it can rest on so it doesn't sag on you, because that's what happens. I've had it happen. It happened to me if I'm not paying attention. So it's really, really a common thing. So maybe we can talk about that a bit when we do this. All right, so let's make, oh, I have got a new tool. Hey, Kev. I have a little red cookie cutter. It looks like a bow tie from Debbie. It's her new handle trimmer tool. It's like based on my cookie cutter. It's about that big. It might be in that box, those 2 boxes over there. How's that for direction? Hopefully it's in the first one. So I made a cut just to cut off the excess clay that was there on the top. I don't need this. We'll save this. You can make a support with this if you need it, so we can save it for that. All right, so I'm just going to shape this, and we're just going to take a look at our mug. I got to find the seam. There it is, right there. So we can line it up here, and we can kind of play with shape. Now I think that would make a huge handle, but if you're making a mug on commission for somebody who's got really big hands, that might be the handle they want, especially if they're going to put 3 fingers in there. So you can think about that as well. But I know for me that's a little big, so we're going to trim off about 3/4 of an inch. And let's take a look and see what we get there. And so we'll put that on there, and that's looking about right. Now the other thing you can do with a handle is you could turn it on its head. And you can put a handle upside down. It's kind of crazy, but you could do it. The other thing that you could do is we can make a C handle, right? So when we attach, let me curve this in a little more. And I would shape this here to match here, right? And so you get this C right there like that. So I think what happens over time as artists and as makers, we get our own aesthetic, and it's good to mix it up from time to time, but I definitely have my own way of working, and for me, it's pretty, honey, it could be those other 2 boxes I mentioned over there. And you could just bring them to me if you don't want to look through them. But it could be in that. Was it right on top? Imagine. So Debbie Dela Cruz made this fabulous thing. It looks like a bow tie. It's based on the cookie cutter that I usually use to cut my handle shapes, and that's what, let me see if I can grab it on the mug. So it looks like a little mitten or a Dr. Seuss hand right there. But Debbie did this, and she did it so that it's 2 sizes. I don't think these are available yet. I don't know. But the bigger one I'm going to use on the top and the smaller one on the bottom. So let's go ahead and, now that we talked about handles, let's shape this. So I'm just going to line this up and cut it. And then it makes the dog paw for me, or the little Seuss mitten. And I'm just going to thin that down. Turn it around and use the other side. Make that one. How cool is that, right? And so this, I'm going to pre-shape on my board. Same with this one. And now we're ready to attach it. So let's slip and score. Both parts that are going to join, both ends. And I'm just going to hold it up to it. I think that one's going to go there. And that is going to nip right in there, just like that. And so it left behind a little bit of slip where I want it to attach. So I can go in and I can slip and score. And now we can attach it. So I'm just pressing the handle in. And I've also found if you distort your mug too much, for the top part at least, you can put that clay terracotta pot back in, and you can press against the terracotta pot. And that will support your sides. So if you're having the rim distort, just use that, and it will help hold it in a bit. And then we'll do the bottom. Now you want to get down here, and you want to look and make sure before you permanently attach this that your handle's not askew, right? It's not askew, it's a handle. It's much more funny when it's not a jar, it's a door. All right, potters have silly senses of humor. And then take that same brush and use that to clean up any slip that is squeezed out. If you get a lot of cracking, what that's from is from slip left behind that is causing the clay to dry slower in that area and be wet, and the weak spots, the wet spots, will crack. And so we can look at the handle now, and you can shape it. And you can look at it and you can just play with it a little bit. I'll often take and get my finger just slightly damp, or take a damp sponge and use that to smooth out my handle and shape it. Yeah, we're getting a rainstorm right now. We have a metal roof, so you will hear it. And so it's like, do you make the handle come above the rim? That is a big question. Do you? Do you do that? I think that's entirely up to you. I kind of like a handle coming above the rim, myself personally, but some folks like their mugs to sit flat upside down for after being washed that they can dry. So, you know, think about that when you're making it. What do you like? I like that. Okay, that one's done. We got a couple minutes. I can do another one. We can put the other handle on. So, you know, I mix it up once in a while. I'll change handle shapes, but I've kind of got a look that I like for my work, so I stick with that. What I've been doing is just change the size of the handle. So sometimes I'll make a really big handle, sometimes I'll make a slightly smaller handle, just because, you know, people's hands vary. And then I'm going to show you all how to do a support, and then we're going to give away stuff, right? Send the rain west. I will send it. You can all have it. Rain, go west. Do you think it'll listen? All right. cut our handle. You can also just use a flour cookie cutter. I know Debbie probably doesn't have these out yet, but maybe she does. I'll see if she chimes in and says she's got them. Handle cutter. It'll be called the handle cutter. There's my seam. And we're going to trim a bit of this off. I think to here. And then flare this out too, right? The thing I love the most about making mugs, and it's not the fact that I have something that I handmade to use for my cup of tea or cocoa or coffee, is the fact that it gives me a chance to explore different handle shapes, different textures, different glazes, right? Also, it makes you a better potter. Making something like a simple mug, the more you practice it, the better you'll get at that form, which just means the better you're getting at making pottery in general. So something as simple as a mug is a great tool to use for improving your pottery skills. So maybe if you need something as a warm-up in your studio, maybe when you come to the studio and you don't know what to make, maybe make a mug first. That's the way you start your day, right? I'm going to make a mug. And then see what comes after that. Because it's just a mug. And if you don't have a great day in the studio and the mug comes out meh, well, it's just a mug. But maybe it doesn't come out that way. If it does, use it as a glaze test piece, right? Because you don't have a lot invested in it. So this handle is going to be a little different. I'm going to put it a little lower on the body and I'll show you the two. I do wax my handles after sometimes. It depends. If I'm using porcelain, absolutely. Every time I wax the join of my handle. I actually have a video how to prevent cracking on your handles. I don't know what I called it. No crack. I don't know. But in that video, we talked about waxing as one of the solutions to prevent cracking on your handles because it's a struggle a lot of us deal with. And you know, we don't really want cracked handles, but waxing is a good way to do that. It helps the join to dry a little slower, which is nice. All right, so let's put the terracotta pot in there so we have something to press against so we don't deform our piece. And then get down here and line up. Sadly, the terracotta pot doesn't make it to the bottom, so you have to put your fingers in to support it from the inside. Ooh, you're having rain and tornado warnings in Maine. Oh, Diana, be safe. It is crazy, isn't it? All right, let's clean up that slip. And I will go back with my color, or now I see it marketed as a clay shaper, this little guy right here. And if I happen to have any excess slip anywhere, I'll just go in with this and clean it up. But usually I don't do that right away. I usually let it wait until it's stiffened up. All right, so let's talk about sagging handles. And let's look at these two different. So they're similar, but there's a slight difference in the profiles. You see them? Just the tiniest bit of difference. And it's subtle, but it's there. All right, so if you're making a mug and the mug, this one's not doing it, but this one's pulling my handle. I can already see it happening. So what I will do is I'll build a support as it dries so that I can prevent that from happening. So what you do is you right it, you put it to where you want it. You take that clay you're using for your handle or a pot nearby and you just press it up against that. If you don't want to use a pot nearby, you can make these, which is not very elegant looking, but they get the job done. So that's what we do. Oh, you're glad I'm back. You didn't know how much you look forward to the evening classes. Well, I'm sorry I missed you all. Yeah. So you roll out a fat carrot thing like that, put it up against it, and then you can shape it however you need it to hold your handle. Let me turn it sideways. I told you it wasn't a very elegant solution. I mean, it doesn't, but it's supporting my handle. And then I cover the whole thing with plastic. and I let it dry. Now if you have a whole bunch of these, and you're going to be using these a lot, you might want to make some and then bisque fire them and just have them there in the studio, and you can put them up against the piece. What I often will do is just grab anything, like anything that doesn't run away from me in the studio, I will use, and just like that works, right? So I'll have one for that mug, because that one needs it. This one, if it needs it, let's see. Will that reach it? It will not. Sometimes I will, in a pinch, use my water bottle, but then I'm out my water bottle. So that one I did, we got to do that. There. So with the clay one, you can really shape. See how I turned that and really shaped it? All right, so we got some mugs to dry. I'm going to let this probably covered for about 3-4 days, and then I'll just keep checking on it and see how it's doing. I won't uncover it all the way until it's pretty much bone dry, though. All I do is just loosen the plastic so it's not so tightly sealed up, and that's it until it's done. And then it ends up like this. This is a bisque one right here. That needs to be bisque fired, because that's what we do with bisque. All right, let's do a giveaway. Let's pull you guys back up here. There. All right, now we're going to do a giveaway. Could you use a kiln post? You sure can. Yeah, the only thing is a kiln post is very vertical. You don't really have anything that will kind of scooch inward. You know, you kind of got to go in a bit. All right, let me clean off my hands a little because they got clay. All right, so we're giving away this pin to anybody, anywhere around the world. We are paying the shipping. You're going to get a 7-inch wave pin, the exact pin I used tonight. That is a $30 prize. Is that the retail value of that? Is $30? But premium members, you guys get it for like $25.50. Shh. That's how it works when you're a premium member of ClayShare. Sorry. It behooves you to join, I'm telling you. So this is the Monstera we gave away last week. This is the wave we're going to give away tonight. And we'll give another one away next week. And then we have how many more Wednesdays are there in September? 2?
2.
Oh, so we get to give 2 more away after tonight. Maybe more than 2. We'll see how I feel. All right. Are you guys ready? You love the idea of making the bisque handle supports. It would save you so much in the studio. If you just rolled a bunch of these out, I mean, it's got a little curve to it. Let me see if see, it's got a funky little curve to it, but that is going to go up against your handle. It's perfect. Let me stick it up there again. Put it right back. And then you have them and you just keep them in a jar. I have bisque handle shapes. I mean, you know, do all that stuff. Fingers crossed, everybody. All right, are you ready? Let's give away a rolling pin. The winner of this week's 7-inch wave rolling pin is, I have no drum roll, sorry, Jen Cole. Jen Cole, congratulations, my dear. You've won yourself the 7-inch wave pin. If you don't want the wave and you want the Monstera instead, you can have that. I'm okay. I'll switch you out. We will email you and let you know you won, and then you can give us your mailing address and we will send it to you. And if you don't want the wave and you want the Monstera, I could switch it out. I don't mind. So that's this week's giveaway and tutorial. As always, if you guys have questions for me, you can always reach me at ClayShare. You can always message me. I'm inundated with catching up with messages right now and emails since I've been away for a week, but I will catch up. So if you've reached out to me and I haven't gone back to you, I will get to you. All right, everyone. Take care. I see some questions. The mugs stick to the wood. Yes, you leave it there until it's dry. Tomorrow it comes off. No big deal, right? That's all I got. So I'm going to go, oh, we have platter problems next in prime time. We all have platter problems. And so at 6:15 tonight, we're doing our private broadcast for premium members. We're going to talk about platter problems and ways to solve those problems, those pesky platter problems. All right, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.